Good morning.
Hello.
And welcome to this very special edition of Coffee with the Claires on our wonderful and brand new OM System Day.
What a great day.
How fabulous.
It's so exciting to kick it off.
Very exciting. We've got lots and lots planned.
We have a whole programme of events throughout the day, not just in English. We have lives from all over the world, all over the globe, in different languages. And if we get Gav, if you can pop up the schedule for us for a second there.
So yes, so they're not all in English, but They are lots of different countries doing lots of different languages. Like the follow-up after this one, there's a session with Joe in Norwegian.
Yep.
We've got David Smith coming up at 1 o'clock. He's going to do a deep dive menu run through on the brand new OM1. But you know, there'll be lots of lovely images and videos to watch. So even if you can't understand, I'm sure you're going to get lots out of them. But
exactly.
Stick with us. It's going to be a great, fun-filled day.
Absolutely. And I know that's small because I can just about see it there. But Charlotte is going to pop the link in the comments for you to see the full schedule or take a look on our social media channels. And like Claire said, tune in, have a look at the great images. Even if you don't speak the languages, they're really fantastic and you'll be able to catch up after. So if you aren't watching live now, don't worry. They will be on YouTube later and on the local Facebook channels. So it's going to be a great day.
And there might also be some people, maybe you've not followed them on Instagram or Facebook, so you're going to see some new people with some new images. So even, as I said, you don't understand, you can go on their Instagram, follow them and look at the fabulous images. So it's worth checking out what we have planned for the rest of the day.
Definitely. I'm really excited about one later on with Jan, who's going to be live from Costa Rica.
Wow. I've always wanted to go to Costa Rica.
So that's going to be a really cool one. And so stay tuned for the day. It's going to be really, really great.
Yeah, and we're really excited to be able to head up the first OM System Day. It's really exciting, isn't it? Yeah. It's Coffee with the Claires and OM System. I know, no plastic screens. I can touch you in the flesh. So it's really exciting, and we're sure that there's going to be something for everyone.
Absolutely. So tell us where you're from, say hello. We have no idea how many of you are watching at the moment because we've got Gav and Sam behind doing all of the clicking and the pressing, and Sam's going to pop some comments up on screen for us. And as always, we have the wonderful Charlotte in the comments, typing away and having a little chat with you. So we've got Alan already from a very wet, bushy
Hey
part
Alan, how are you?
It's very wet here, isn't it, in the UK
It's soaking
today?
wet. We had a 5 o'clock start, lots of rain, but we're here and it's all funny and it's great and it's lovely. We can't see the comments. We are relying on Sam to put the comments up. So if you're nice to Sam, Sam may put your comment up.
So here we go. How good this new camera's looking.
Oh, Mark, good. Yes. Here we have one here. Good day from Australia. Purchased my first camera in 1974 on OM1N. Rob, I hope you still have it.
Fantastic.
And Michael Ellis, morning from a sunny but very chilly northeast Wales. Now, throughout the session, please put your questions in the comments. We will try and get through as many as we can. Put some comments in for our guests, our very special guests, because they are new to Coffee with the Claires.
Yes.
We've not had them on.
We've
not had our guests on Coffee with the Claires before, so you're going to be really exciting. It's really exciting to get new people on and see what their visions
are.
I haven't seen them.
I've seen them. When you went out of the room, I saw them. So guys, you are in for an absolute treat today. So yes, keep commenting, keep saying hello. Oh, Steve, good morning. Great to see Claire and go see Abby the other day.
Photographing the snowdrops.
I was spotted out. I didn't have the OM1 with me though that day.
And Sylvia Lange, good morning from sunny Germany.
Oh,
it's
they've
amazing.
got the sunshine.
So I've got a question. Now, normally we ask questions. We will normally ask you to send us questions.
We do.
I've got a question for you. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Who has pre-ordered the OM1? I want to see your comments. Sam's going to go, oh no. I want to see the comments saying, I've ordered 2.
Here we go.
I've ordered 1.
Derek has already, good morning from South Yorkshire, pre-ordered and waiting patiently.
Not. So we have been inundated with questions, and it's been fantastic. So we know that we can't wait to get these bodies into your hands. It's going to be fantastic.
Absolutely, and we can't wait to see what you're going to be shooting with us. So tell us if you pre-ordered. Tell us what you're most looking forward to shooting, and what about the OM1 you're most looking forward to. And we'll give you a shout out if we can.
Morning, Claire Williams. Hello, Mike Taylor. And we just had Pedder from, was that Australia? Or was that, yes, Australia. And we've got lots of joining from Australia. What time is Australia? It's 10 o'clock at night.
It's
perfect viewing time.
9 p.m. Are they 11 hours? It
11 or
depends
12.
where in Australia.
East or West Coast.
Yeah.
So I know there's a sort of 6-hour plane journey from one coast to the other, you know. So, and obviously one of our both of our guests are.
Both of our guests.
Australian.
Yes, they are.
So yes, you've got a good home crowd in. David Taylor from New Zealand, hello. Lovely to see you. And Roger Clark, morning from Chandler's Ford. Not too far from here.
Hampshire, a
county
our
away.
secret, undisclosed location. Gavin Hoey's studio.
And buongiorno from Italy. Lovely to see you. So yes, it's very global. And hopefully, as I said, lots of things going on throughout the day, all in your languages.
Yep.
So, you know, that should be fun to catch up. Right, Claire.
Yes, Claire, we have two, as we've said, fantastic guests today.
We do.
And they've both shot with the OM1 before it was launched.
Yep.
And we've seen some of their images on social media already.
On social media. I haven't seen today's. I always like to keep it a secret.
We've done a couple of posts on social beforehand. So, do you want to introduce our first guest?
So, you may not have met this guest before. If you haven't or aren't following her on Instagram, we will put the details up. You should.
Absolutely should.
Absolutely lovely. And Michaela Skovranova.
How are you going? Welcome from my bedroom in Australia.
Hey,
and
Michaela.
What time is it? What time is it there? We were arguing
9
over
p.m.
this. 9
It's
p.m.
not
It's 9 p.m.
9 p.m.
And you're Melbourne, aren't you?
I am, yes.
So yeah, so it's a few hours different. So this is the thing. 9 p.m. is actually quite good for viewing audiences because people have had their tea, they'd have had their dinner, they'll be sitting down with a little beer or a little something.
It's perfect. I'm wearing my track pants already, so I'm
ready for bed. Oh, thank you so much for joining us, Michaela. Honestly, we have loved watching all your the launch videos, and we've loved sharing them here in the UK. And we love all the videos that you sent, all the images. It's been amazing, hasn't it?
They've been fantastic. And my favourite, the koala, just I don't want to ruin that.
I was going to say, what koala?
We're going to look at
I haven't seen it yet, don't. So, Michaela, tell us about you. How long have you been an ambassador for us?
Since 2015, so quite a few years now, and obviously have progressed and tried different cameras of the OM system, and I am so excited about this latest release. Very excited about it.
And you obviously enjoyed getting to use it before launch, and how exciting was that project for you?
It was beautiful. I was really nervous at the beginning because I only got one battery to use. And in my mind, out in the field, photographing wildlife with one battery, very risky, but it held up so well.
Fantastic.
It did amazing, yes. So it really lasted. We separated the shoot into kind of 2 different sections or 3 different sections depending on the day. So it shoot really early in the morning at sunrise, break during the day, and then at sunset. So I had a bit of time to recharge, and it lasted the entire day.
That's what we like to hear. Now, obviously, on your Instagram, you've got lots of different sort of lifestyle stories. You've just got a big gallery exhibition going on.
Yes.
What is your main genre? Is it wildlife? Is it lifestyle? What sort of thing do you like photographing?
Environmental photography, which I guess encompasses so many different things. Yeah. And I work as a photojournalist, and I enjoy working on environmental and human stories.
I love that. And you also do a lot of early shoots and late shoots. So like you say, going back to the OM1 and using it in the sort of dusk and the dawn has been a lot more helpful with the higher dynamic range and the higher ISO opportunities.
Definitely, and not only that. So basically in Australia, a lot of the animals are nocturnal, which means they're active at night, or dusk and dawn. So that's when most of the wildlife is going to be out and about. So we try to kind of match that as well throughout the project. And what I found really helpful with the new camera is not only obviously the sensor and the ISO, but the viewfinder. It really lights up in dark conditions, so you can see in pretty much pitch darkness. And I also wear glasses, so I don't always see that well, especially when the light is changing, and the viewfinder really helps me with that. So that was beautiful. And then the picture quality as well. I was really impressed just by the JPEGs coming straight out of the camera. And I have mentioned in the past that sometimes when you're working and you're in the field, you don't always have a chance to upload the images. You might have to just send the JPEG straight from the camera to the editor. And I was just so happy with the quality that was coming out straight from the JPEGs.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I didn't have time to edit raw file. We were so busy. I mean, you know, as much as I'm very lucky to get my hands on the product early, I literally had half a day out. And it was literally the evening before launch. I thought, oh my gosh, I really need to put a launch picture up. And I had all my raws, but I literally just had no time. So I threw a cropped JPEG on Instagram.
It's good, the owl.
And there was nothing done to it. I thought, I'm just going to go, for it. And like you say, the JPEG quality alone for social is brilliant. And I really enjoyed just looking at the JPEGs alone, you know, so it's very exciting.
Absolutely. And like Michaela said about the viewfinder, that was one of the things that you picked out when we were here doing the launch video, is how much you loved the viewfinder. Like it was one of your favourite things about the OM1.
Yeah, and obviously with the viewfinder, the live boost is gone, but we've now included the simulated optical viewfinder or night vision mode. So it basically boosts the contrast in the viewfinder. So if you are doing early morning and evening shots, this is what you're talking about, Michaela, isn't it? That extra boost in the viewfinder just to give you that extra contrast and clearness.
It helps so much, especially even if the light's coming in from the side and your eyes are not quite adjusted, that helps a lot. So you can see a lot more detail this way. And I found that so helpful. One of the things as well, which is the up to the 8 stops of IS. So you can handhold a really long lens, such as the 300mm or the 150 to 400mm, and you don't have to carry a tripod or a monopod, and you can kind of camouflage a lot easier in the environment and wait for the moment without carrying the extra load, which was really helpful.
I absolutely love that. And you know, going light and going mobile is exactly what the system and OM system is all about, right?
Definitely.
No tripods, no weighing yourself down with heavy filters and extra luggage. You can literally take one small bag and you're out for the day and you're trekking, or, you know, you can make that little bit more effort to go further. Oh, we got a question.
Fantastic. Oh, just a comment.
Oh, it's a comment. So, Anastas Tarapanov, excuse me, for your for that pronunciation. It says, we are working in the same field with Michaela. So glad to see other documentary photographers using OM system. Absolutely. I mean, the point about the system being light is, you know, you can get in places where you wouldn't normally, you know. I went on a protest, I didn't tell you about that, went on a protest a couple of months ago, but I kept my camera small and I kept it away and I wasn't in people's faces. I got some great shots. You know, there are so many opportunities for journalism and photojournalism to take the camera.
It's so good for environmental work.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
So, Michaela, how long have you lived in Australia, and where you are now? How do you know, choose where to go and shoot?
I've lived in Australia over 20 years now, and I've just very recently moved to Victoria. And funnily enough, the last few projects that I've worked on were in Victoria, and I was so impressed by the wildlife that's around here. That was also part of my decision making as to where I moved. And the latest OM project was created just on the outskirts of Melbourne, and that's I find just incredible, just the abundance of nature just on our doorstep. I think we're very lucky.
Yeah, I mean, and we sort of talk about that. Obviously, we've got a lot of British wildlife, but they tend to be very small animals and birds, which is fine. And if you want to do the big 5, you've got to go to Africa. It's a long trek, but actually to have it all on your doorstep. So I assume you run workshops. Anybody can go to Australia in the future? Let's go. Let's go. We're staying at yours. You can book on workshops and see the wildlife for themselves, can't they?
Definitely, and it's really quite accessible as well. So, for example, the wallabies, they might be just out on the golf fields in the morning, just having a bit of a snack. the koala that you mentioned, so that was photographed at a place called French Island, and that's an island just off Melbourne. And they were actually imported to the island. They were given as a gift to someone, and it's one of the healthiest. Yeah, and it's one of the healthiest koala populations in Victoria because there aren't any diseases. So you would literally go to this island, and there's a koala every 5 meters. It feels.
Let's have a look at that image.
Okay, let's have a look. I haven't seen this, so let's have. Oh, how can you not love a koala? They are literally just up the road from you, right?
Pretty much where I am at the moment. Yes, you got to get a ferry across, but they're pretty much everywhere. And these are southern koalas, so they're a lot bigger, fluffier, darker in color, and it was just really nice to see them awake as well, because as you know, they sleep about 20 hours a day. So we didn't know what to expect. It was a bit of a rainy day, and this one was giving us a bit of a yawn. So it was very sweet.
It's brilliant. It's so good.
I love it. And obviously, you know, the animals are so different out in Australia, aren't they? So if you haven't been, it's such a different, all the marsupials, and it's a completely different landscape to photograph different animals. As I said, we're used to UK and we've been to Africa, so we're very lucky, but it's one of my hit lists, Australia, to photograph the wildlife there. So you're very lucky, I think.
It's also a really great message about shooting locally to you. You know, it's what we encourage a lot. And what we encouraged a lot during lockdown was, you know, seeing what is around your local area. I'm lucky enough, up the road from me is we have wild conic ponies, deer, barn owls. And just finding those locations and knowing where to go and then going back and shooting there. And this is fantastic. But let's go to Australia.
Yes, go to Australia. Put that on the trip list.
Now that you can. The borders are open, so.
Yay! I absolutely love this image. Okay, let's take a look at the second image. Gav, if you don't mind. Oh, tell us about this image.
This one was taken in the Melbourne Botanical Gardens, and literally just down the road again, and I just went for a little walk through at dusk, and they just have such beautiful variety of nature, and it feels like you're walking to like a fern gully, and then around the corner there's something else. So that was just a really beautiful, peaceful afternoon where I just wandered around till sunset. The sun sets here a little bit later than further up north, so about 8 p.m, 9 p.m. in summer, so we get a little bit of extra photographic time.
Nice.
That's fantastic. And what sort of settings, what sort of ISO are you using on these?
This one, actually, the ISO wasn't too high. It was 200. So I usually try and stay around that, but I have to say the other images from the project, they were much higher ISO and really crazy high shutter speeds, particularly for the kangaroos, because I wasn't sure when they were going to move. And as you know, they've got very erratic movements. They might jump left and then right. So you can't really ever predict which way they're going to go. So for the kangaroos...
You've got to keep your speeds high, sort of in preparation for, haven't you?
Yes, and even though I was focusing more on portraits and kind of them in the resting stage, I did want to take opportunities if they did suddenly move. So I was ready. Luckily, they were grazing. It was quite a relaxed moment, but the shutter speed were insanely high. I'm writing them down. So the kangaroo was 10,000th of a second.
Wow.
It's quite, quite high. And then the ISO, for example, if you've got the Rosella photograph, the parrot,
okay,
that one of them,
there is to the next image, Gavin,
which might be.
Just give me a second, caller.
The detail on that one
was incredible.
Incredible. Gav zoomed in, and you could really see all the fine detail in there.
It was, and that was taken on the 12 to 100 f4.
Fantastic.
Because I was filming with it actually, and it worked beautifully for that photograph as well. So this one actually was taken in Sydney, and it was just, they would come to my window, these guys, the lorikeets.
Wow.
So I made very good friends with them, especially during lockdown. My daily visitors, and you can just see the details on the feathers. They're just such intricate colours. So I didn't realize how much I loved birds until I got to until lockdown. And then I was where I lived. I was on the same eye line as a tree, so I got to kind of live in a tree house almost.
Wow.
Fantastic.
And observe their behavior. So that was really beautiful. And there might be another image that was taken, and that's a red parrot.
Have you got
That
red
might be
parrot?
coming up.
Gav's shaking his head.
No.
Okay, that's okay.
While Gav is looking for some images, if you've got any questions for Michaela, here we go.
First
Megan.
one.
Hey, Megan. Megan is our lovely ambassador in South Africa. Megan says, what was your f-stop on the parakeet image?
Good question.
That image was taken with the 40 to 150, and it would have been the 2.8.
Oh,
So
nice.
I definitely try and photograph as wide open as possible.
Yeah.
So I will push it as far as I can. That's the result.
Well
so
done,
that
Gav.
one
Well done.
was ISO 6400, so much higher
Oh,
ISO.
wow. Incredible.
But again, you can see how buttery smooth it is. So it handles the high ISOs really well.
And did you find that shooting with high ISOs, you got that little bit more sort of confidence? You were thinking, if you shot previously, you were a little worried about ISOs. Obviously, this is something that is massively improved with the OM1. I mean, it really does make a huge difference. And so obviously with the winter nights, it's instead of being a summer shooter, as I call people, sort of spring and summer, it means you can go out for longer, you can go out later. And like you say, get the animals, especially in the UK, birdsong is the sort of early evening.
I was going to say summer in the UK is probably a little bit grey and wet.
Yeah, it's still grey. Exactly. So having that confidence to have those extra ISO does make a huge difference to how long you can shoot for, doesn't it, Michaela?
Absolutely. And at the time as well, the firmware hasn't been released to edit the raw file. So I had to be working with the JPEGs again. And we actually ended up printing one of those images quite large, and it just holds up so well. So again, incredibly impressed. And I just had no hesitation at pushing it higher, especially if it's exposed correctly. It handles it so beautifully.
That's wonderful. And on that note, you can download the latest Olympus workspace, which can handle your raw files. But just to let you know that Lightroom and Photoshop are also now processing OM1 files, which is super quick.
That's quick.
Normally we wait quite a bit longer for this to happen, but it's all in place. So
all ready for when they start shipping.
Yeah. So when you do start shipping, obviously Olympus Workspace is brilliant. We've got a new thing on Olympus Workspace called Focus Analyzer, which can look at a whole series of images that you've shot, maybe 50 images in a series. And it can look at the first one, look at the last one, and it shows you the sharpest one. So Olympus Workspace is worth downloading just for that alone.
That's so good for like continuous bursts and for pro capture. I find myself going, is that one? Yeah,
exactly.
So that's great that picks it out for you.
Yeah, 100%. So now you can work with the RAWs, which is great. So I'm assuming you're going to have to go back through the whole catalogue that you shot on the OM1 and re-look at them in RAW and then see where you go from there. But the joy to be able to work in JPEG on the fly and do it quite quickly is pretty awesome.
And for them to be so sharp as well, like you said, you printed large scale on one of them, which is fantastic.
We did. So there is a video coming out soon that you'll get to see the process of that. And it was just such a joy. Again, just a huge print straight from the camera. That's
great.
So we have a question in. It's from Richard Pearson, says, what is the viewfinder like on the OM1? Is it like the 5 Mark III because it's good for spectacle users? Well, the answer is yes.
Are you a spectacle wearer?
I am a spectacle wearer.
Yeah.
And the answer is yes. Obviously, it's over 5 million pixels on the 5.76 million dots, which is fantastic. So the resolution is massive. It's got a brilliant eye cup, an eye cup that literally can't come off the body. It's got 2 clips now, so they don't come off without pushing those 2 clips in. But also, yes, there is a deeper eye cup for spectacle wearers for eye relief. So that does make a massive difference. So you always used to have to put my glasses on top of my head to shoot.
Yeah.
Now I can leave my glasses on.
Excellent.
Which is brilliant, because then, you know, you're not sort of doing this and putting my glasses down.
And then when you take them off, then you can't see anything.
Or they're on the floor and covered in mud.
Step on them.
So I hope that's answered your question. If you've got any questions for Michaela about Australia, about the wildlife,
I think we have a couple more images.
Please get them in. Yes, okay. Let's go to the next image while we're waiting for some questions.
Took Gab by surprise.
Yeah, Gavin. Oh,
I love
that's
this.
Gorgeous.
The dynamic range in this just shows beautifully what the OM1 can do.
I love this. Tell us about this image, Michaela.
Again, that's taken in the Fern Gully of the Botanical Gardens in Melbourne. Straight from the camera. This is exactly how it came out.
Wow.
There is almost no adjustment to it. I just exposed for the highlights.
Yeah.
So that's why they've got so much beautiful detail. And I just left it as it was because,
It's
the
beautiful.
light was just stunning, and the color as well. The color reproduction, I think, is very accurate to what we see with our eye as well, which is helpful. So you don't have to tweak the balance or anything like that. Okay. And I like to be able to kind of capture the image as it is in camera and do very little post-production.
Look at the detail on
I love it. Absolutely gorgeous. We've got a few places like Kew, when we get to Kew, and places like that. That's absolutely gorgeous, and a perfect way to. And it's just lovely. It's shadow and light. It almost looks neon from here, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
It almost looks like sort of a pair of legs. I know that's because I'm looking from a distance, but do you see what I mean? It's beautiful. I absolutely love it, and the simplicity of an image like this, I think, really strikes a chord, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. And I think we have one more image.
One more image, Gavin?
Gab's looking at it. He's like, they've gone rogue.
Oh, zooming in. No?
There we go.
that's
This is the one I was waiting for. This is beautiful.
Is that a baby?
It's a younger kangaroo, and that we had one day that we actually had a bit of light coming in at sunrise, so we could play with the light and shadow a little bit more. And again, it was so backlit at the time, but captured so much detail. And when you did put it on the computer and just lifted up the blacks a little bit, you can see the edges of the eye and the eyelashes, and you can even see in the background there's a spider web. So a tremendous amount of detail. And that, I think, was taken on the 150 to 400 with the extension. So it was the 500.
Fantastic. A message from Moises, one of our Spanish ambassadors. Amazing shot.
Good morning, Moises.
Hi, Moises.
Lovely to see you.
and it's incredible. You can see all the little hairs all around the kangaroo.
The detail is incredible. I absolutely love it. So was that the last shot?
I believe so.
Michaela, what's your favourite lens? I mean, obviously, we talked, so you've spoken about the 12-100, the 40-150, the 150 to 400, and I know it's easy. I know it's easy to go straight away and say the 150 to 400, but the 12-100 is such a great lens, and the 40 to 150 is definitely on the sort of top three, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So, what about you? What's your favourite?
My favourite is the 25mm. The 1.2.
1.2. Oh, you're in Claire's camp there. Claire's favourite lens.
So beautiful, and especially for photojournalism work as well. It's quite similar to what your eye will see, and it's got such beautiful detail, shallow depth of field. So that is one of my favourites. And then the 40-150. And for very special shoots, the 150 to 400 is,
of course.
I mean, I've never used a lens like that. I believe it weighs just over 1.8 kilograms for a lens with that range. That is just a game changer.
It's insane, isn't it? It's insane. Well, everybody
for
I
nature,
show it,
wildlife.
Everybody I show it to says, I thought it was going to be heavier. If I could have £1 for every time somebody said that to me, I'd be buying a 150 to 400 now.
We have another question.
We have a question from Avion. Good morning, Avion.
Hi, Avion.
From Anglesey. Michaela, how do you find the autofocus compares to the previous EM1 Mark III? And do you use the eye detection to help with your exposures?
Good question.
Good question. I think the AF actually is much better. I find that it really picked up the subject really well. There's subject detection options as well. So you can now switch between birds and lots of other animals, which is great. And that was really helpful for me. So any kind of, I like to just use one focus point, pretty much just in the middle, keep it simple. But when the animals are, again, moving in different directions or the birds are flying, I will utilize more of the options that are within the camera.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So, and with we used to call it subject detection. We now call it detection AI.
Yeah.
AF. We can now actually put that onto a button on the back, so you can switch in and out of the sort of AI options rather than it being deep in the menu. So if you're shooting macro, you can go like that. But then if you see some amazing wildlife, you can press the button and then, sorry, Gavin.
Gavin, she's waving the camera back out. She's out of
Am I
control.
waving it around too much, Gavin? Sorry. And then this button here, this little AF on button, it's back button focus, but it's also designed to enable you to switch in and out. I'm going to make that, to switch in and out of the subject AI. So that makes a huge difference. And so, yeah, I think I love that feature. Sorry, Gavin, I'm going to put that down now there, really slowly.
And it was very helpful as well for the show that we were doing, because we were going from one animal to another. Like we would see a koala and then there was a snake and then there was a bird. So being able to switch it on and off. Yes. Yeah, and be able to switch through really quickly. So again, very helpful for wildlife photographers.
We have another question.
We do.
From Dal Boyne.
Michaela, any worries about not having an external battery charger? That's a good question.
So you can actually get a battery bank that you can attach to the camera and you can charge it on the go, which is really handy. So I think that would be something to explore. And again, and the battery does hold for a really long time. It's amazing. So I'm not sure what the stats are of how long it lasts, but we shot, I would burst shoot, especially with the kangaroos. So that chews up battery a bit more, and it did hold up really well.
Yeah,
fantastic.
And there's lots of questions saying, no, it doesn't come with a battery charger. So it actually does come with a battery charger. It comes with an internal battery charger. Yes, you have to plug the camera in, but it is
charge, though.
Super quick charge. But it does come with an external battery charger. So it doesn't just come with a lead. It comes with a little AC box and a power adapter. But you don't get the external battery pack, which you plug the battery in externally. And if you're running 3, 4, 5 batteries, which lots of people do, then that is available as an optional extra. I definitely recommend that double cube. That's going to be, I think, something in lots of people's arsenal. And so, or you use a power delivery power pack, which is what I used.
I use power bank.
And if you're a videographer, again, maybe that second battery is going to be something that you'll find useful with the grip, so that you can video for that bit longer. So I think the point is there's lots of options. There are lots and lots of options.
And the HLD10 grip is a great addition to have extra battery, and also that option to have all the control vertical. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
So wonderful. So we'll look at the time.
We've been flying by chatting away about koalas and
I mean, we've done, just quickly looking at my notes there. I shouldn't be looking to actually look at the top of my head. Michaela, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, we could talk to you all day.
And we'll have you back on Coffee with the Claires, because we will definitely just want to talk to you for ages about Australian wildlife. So to you guys, if you haven't seen any of the videos, head over to our YouTube channel, where you can see the lovely Michaela showing you her thoughts on the OM1 and some lovely video pieces and some images there as well. And there's more to come. We have a lot more videos to come, so stay tuned on our social channels and on YouTube, because we will be sharing more very soon.
Yes, exactly. And a good night to you in Australia, and to thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for staying up late.
Yes, thank you very much.
We look forward to coming and staying with you very soon. I mean, we basically put ourselves on all of our international ambassadors.
You're very welcome.
There you go.
She said it's recorded, so you can't take it back.
We have witnesses. We'll be there, and we'll be sleeping on your floor, because we don't care.
I've got a mattress. I've got a spare bed. It's all good.
There we go.
There you go. We're over there.
Off we go.
Honestly, Michaela, thank you so much for joining us. We really look forward to seeing you again, and see you again soon.
Thank you.
Take care. So if you loved our lovely Michaela, you should follow her on Instagram. There's some lovely stories on there.
Her images on there are fantastic. Her stories are brilliant, and yeah, you should absolutely head on over to Instagram.
She's got a big following.
She has
big following. She also does stuff for Nat Geo as well.
She
So
does. It's
lots of lovely lifestyle videos and stuff there. Sort of brilliant. Absolutely loved. Spent about 3 hours on her Instagram yesterday.
So unique and different, and her lighting was just wonderful.
Very nice storytelling as well. So it's really lovely to see.
Absolutely. So
okay, you next.
You next. So next up, we have another OM System ambassador.
Another Australian.
Yes. But he's not in Australia right now. No. Somewhere else we can go instead.
I know, right?
This wonderful photographer has also been shooting with the OM1 before launch. Before he pops up on screen, we are going to show this incredible video that he shot. Yeah,
so it's really important to we'll talk to Chris about this in a second, but watch this video and look at some of the techniques. Don't just look at the sort of the loveliness. I mean, obviously it's easy to get quite immersed, but try and pick out some of the technical bits, and then we can chat to Chris about it. Get your questions in. Have a look at the video and then get your questions in.
3, 2, 1, action!
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? I just love that video.
Before we talk about it too much, let's bring on the man himself, Chris Airwalker.
Hello.
Hey, Chris.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm great. I'm just going to correct you. I'm not Australian. I'm Belgian.
See? Well, why did we think you were Australian? Maybe did you live out there for a while?
Okay, he lived in Australia.
Well, you saw. You see, you think, and
you're
you don't.
An honorary.
Yeah, honorary Australian. How's that sound?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
You'll take that, right? And now you're back in Belgium. You're at home now.
Yeah.
And obviously, I mean, that video has been viewed quite a few times.
That's
I mean,
incredible.
We loved it. Tell us about the video experience with the OM1. Tell us about shooting that video, because that will look really good fun.
Yeah.
Although it looked quite hard work too.
I mean, loads of people are saying, wow, great video, incredible. The comments are going wild for it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really tricky shoot because I was actually running around with COVID without knowing.
Oh, no.
Oh, without knowing.
I was feeling a little bit under the weather. Luckily, it wasn't too bad. And, obviously I had known I couldn't have done it, but I did a couple of tests and was actually I was like, oh, it's just a regular cold. So that added to the whole complication of everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, besides, being sick, being able to, test out the camera for high-speed action, slow motion footage, and in general for video work, it was really cool. Especially, the upped video features, the 60 frames in 4K and 200 frames in 2K, really, bring it up there with other video cameras that make it a really, really great tool in my camera bag now for anything where the camera or I might get really dirty. So it was a real pleasure to really test it to its bones. So
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, we're fully aware that, you know, with previous models, we did need to up spec on the video. And obviously you know, you shot lots of videos for us in the past, lots of projects you've been involved with. Yeah. But I wondered how much better using the video specs for this shoot was, you know, how much easier it was, how much more scope you have when you've got those higher specs.
I mean, it like gives you headroom, you know, having better dynamic range, having the ability to shoot higher frame rates, knowing, you know, like we shot manual focus, but I've also done some video testing with autofocus. Just the performance in general is just like that headroom you get that makes life so much easier afterwards. So when you're editing, when you're color grading, when you're cutting, when you're trying to put together your story, the more material you have and the higher quality that material, the better it is. And that's like one of the big changes for me in the camera. So it just gives me that headroom I need to be able to push a better story into, or with the material that I can produce. And then obviously the reliability, you know, being like out in the field, not having to worry ever whatsoever about the camera, you know, getting muddy, getting wet or anything. I mean, Olympus before has always been great with that. I've barely managed to destroy a camera.
That's good.
I've really tried. So I've always considered myself like the visionary or ambassador that is there to kill cameras. But I can't. So I've never really entirely destroyed a camera. So
that's good to hear.
Now having the extra weather sealing, the IP53 rating or 53 rating, just that gives you extra confidence when you're working in the field or in extreme environments.
And you've absolutely tested, you know, looking from your sample images, which we're gonna have a look at some of the photos you shot soon. But you absolutely did. But we have a question.
Let's have a look at the question. What sort of focus did you use shooting the video?
So for this video, we shot with cinema lenses, which means they're full
manual focus,
manual aperture, manual focusing. They have a huge focus throw. And the main reason for that was that, as you could see in the making of here, was that the camera was rigged onto a cable cam, which meant that we couldn't access it for focusing. And we would have scenes where we'd have a lot of things between us and our subject. And I couldn't rely on autofocus to, you know, capture the action when the action is very complicated to do and capture anyway. So in this case, we would use cinema lenses that have very, very subtle focus adjustments, and I had motors rigged to it so I could remotely focus it, and it gave me that little more precision. So that's why I had to shoot manual focus for this.
Wonderful. Incredible. Another question coming in from Mary. Question: have you shot any team sports with the camera, and if so, what?
No, I have not shot. I'm not a really sports photographer, so no, I haven't really shot any team sports.
This was just a perfect opportunity with the bikes to
well, I suppose the bike was a sportish, I suppose. So it's it's fantastic. Tom Ormerod has put a little known fact: it was Chris's work that made me choose Olympus in the first place. Olympus legend.
I thought it was us that got
Tom.
Oh, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
So which piece, Tom? Because obviously,
what did you see?
You shot all the EM1X campaign, didn't you? The video. Was
before that as well,
EM1X, and because it did a lot of that stuff with Fernando Marmajeo, which was fantastic, and all the sand being thrown up in the lens, and that's just testament to the weather sealing, the dust proofness, and like you say, being able to not worry.
Didn't break it then.
No, he didn't break it then.
Oh, here you go, Tom.
The APOL series, the APOL series.
Adventure photography on location, I had to stop those 2 years ago, but
Wow.
We got another question. Lots of questions coming in. Hope you don't mind these, Chris. That went to disappear. Have you a favourite log profile that you have found works well on the OM log footage?
I mean, I shoot with the HLG profile, just as flat as possible. That gives me that extra headroom towards color grading it and pushing and pulling the colors and the contrast in the direction I want it to be. The flatter the better. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah,
brilliant. I have a question. Before we have a look at Chris's images, You shoot stills, you shoot video. Do you have a preference which way you lean towards? Do you prefer stills or video?
Oh, it depends. So nowadays I produce a lot more video than I do photography. So I'll be more on the operating side of camera, creating footage. But then there are moments when I'm capturing something great and I'm like, oh, I wish I could also take a photo.
Yeah.
I've come to accept that I can't do both at the same time to do a good job. So I try to surround myself with people that are really good at it too. And it's become a lot more teamwork than it might seem. So just this video here was a team of 7 people to produce it.
Wow.
Yeah, and then you've got to, of course, it's not what you see. You've then got to go into the studio and do the edit as well.
Yeah.
So it's twice as long to do the edit, isn't it? You know, it doesn't finish there. Oh, we have another question. Question up, please, Sam. Chris, can you increase your volume a little as he is coming up a lot quieter? Really? Oh, we can't. We can hear him quite well.
But we've got him in our ears.
Okay,
we can. Are we going to change this, or am I going to change it?
Chris is. You are.
Okay. How's that?
That's better.
Oh,
that's fine.
Yeah, I don't want to be.
Because we've got headphones in.
We've got headphones in.
We sound good, but if that's good for everybody, can you just one of us give us a thumbs up so we know? Gav's given us a thumbs up.
Gives us the thumbs
there
up.
you go. Perfect. Okay. Wonderful. Okay, so let's have a look
at some of the images.
At some images. Gav. Cool. Gav's having a little panic there. Where was this shot? This is beautiful.
So yeah, all the photos here, well, not all of them, but some of them were captured in Lofoten Islands, which is the far north Arctic of Norway. That was where we shot the first campaign for the OM1 camera in November. It was a huge gamble because I was tasked to show the reliability and the weather sealing aspect of the new camera. So I sort of had this mission to go somewhere extreme, and at the same time come back with great photos. So you don't usually pick like the worst weather possible to go take nice photos.
I remember seeing some of your stories, and all of your beard was frozen.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
So it was like a huge gamble. And we decided to go. Well, I decided to go to Lofoten Islands because I found someone who had a project there, which I'll talk about in a minute. But the thing was, we had 2 hours of the sun actually being above the horizon, and then 1 hour of blue light before and after, approximately. So our window for creating nice photos and for capturing video and so on was really tiny. So it was a huge gamble going there, but it paid off, I think so. And this is actually just by the roadside, and it was the first time we saw any sunlight after 3 days. So that's that in the horizon, that orange speckle, that's the sun trying to
But the reflection is just beautiful.
The reflection was great, So
and what lens
was the first time light.
What lens is this shot with, Chris?
Okay, I have to guess because I don't have the notes in front of me, but I think this is the 7-14 2.8 Pro. Yeah.
Lovely lens, lovely. And absolutely, like you say, beautiful light, very blue. Claire Williams agrees with us that light is beautiful, You can't beat a good blue hour or a gold.
You don't always need that orange and that yellow. The blue is just superb.
We have a question.
Oh.
Nice pics. Did you find any buttons too fiddly in cold with gloves? That's interesting.
That was I did a review on my YouTube channel about it. That was one of the gripes I had with the camera, to be honest. Of course, I came from the EM1X, which was designed to be, used with gloves a lot more than the EM1 series. The buttons are bigger and so on. So for me, it was like adjusting to the smaller body as well as having to use it with really thick gloves in minus 18 degrees Celsius.
Minus 18.
So I really pushed it, and I think that was like one thing where I had to adjust as well as perform with the camera, and it was a bit of a struggle. That being said, I still managed to do my work and capture, the photos and the video and so on. It was all possible, but occasionally I might have been a bit upset about the camera.
I can't even imagine
not being
what
able to feel the buttons.
like.
Yeah. And like you say, coming from the EM1X, which is a completely different tool altogether,
absolutely.
that is that about that adjustment, and obviously the button layout is a tiny bit different as well, so you've got to learn that.
Yeah.
But wearing super thick gloves, anybody's going to have issues with little buttons, aren't they, to a certain extent?
Yeah.
I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I mean, that being said, the wheels and so on, and the crucial functions of the camera, the front and back wheel and the shutter button are absolutely usable with as thick a glove as you want, so it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Also, the back button, focus button, is also easily to get to. It's just when you start going into menus and so on, which I don't really advise doing when you're in freezing cold temperatures trying to figure out the menu of your camera, but the usability, it's still very, very usable. It's just I was adjusting to a new camera in an extreme environment that was different from what I was using before.
Definitely.
So there were a lot of aspects that came, that added towards that.
And then 4 hours of daylight of light, and then you're like all those things putting together. It's like
Fiddling.
no pressure.
Fiddling with menus while the sun's popping up and disappearing at the same time. So.
A question, is that the question for Megan we have on the screen? How did you find the battery life was in the cold?
Amazing. I got through almost every day of shooting with one battery, maybe just touching into a second one, and literally shooting. In Lofoten we had from freezing to minus 12 degrees Celsius, and then I shot in Lapland at minus 18. That being said, we had very short days in the Lofoten Islands, so my usage time wasn't quite as long as you do in a normal environment. But then, for example, for the video we shot here in the forests in Belgium, we had 8 hours of shooting every day, and it performed all day long, and it was on most of the day. So I was really, really impressed with the battery life. There's just a huge jump there.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we used to before you were born. We used to whenever we used to do cold trips, we used to get batteries. We used to have to wrap them up and put them in your clothes and stuff them down your whatevers, and just use them like that. And battery technology has jumped on massively.
Before my time.
Before your time, massively. And so the power life is so important because people want to go to places that aren't so accessible, and battery power and power.
They want to shoot for longer.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So you need to travel, and if you don't want to be taking tripods and filters and things like that, you can take a spare battery, and the weight is negligible.
Absolutely.
So I love that. Let's have a look at the next image, please, Gavin. Oh, love this.
Oh, this is great.
Tell us about this, Chris.
So this was our guide, Christian. He was our guide and was also part of the project in Norway. And it's still to be released, like Michaela's. She did the printing. We have a story here, which was about microplastics. He's writing his master thesis about a device that could sample microplastics, and he would drag it along behind him. It's sort of a device that he drags along, and it collects samples, but he does it while kayaking. So it was a great combination of doing something amazing, something that's not been done before in an extreme environment, doing a cool sport in a beautiful landscape. So it suited the project, for testing the camera in a real world environment, as well as testing its reliability aspects, weather sealing and so on. This was obviously we were there to capture a story of me documenting this project or his project. So we were shooting scenes of him doing his thing in the kayak with the device and explaining it to me to tell the story. But then we were also going into different environments to show off, the weather sealing aspect of the camera. And this was one of those days where we just it's storming like crazy. The waves, it was just a stormy day. Let's go up this mountain and get some footage of us going through extreme environments, and that's one of those moments. We were just hiking back, but it was blasting, and it was on the way back that I was like, oh man, these are the best photos yet of the morning. So I was just running around capturing photos of them walking back. It's so simple, but the camera was just doing its job, I guess.
And also sounds like a really worthy project to be involved with. Anything where they're looking at new devices to capture this this information is fantastic. Mm-hmm. So looking forward to seeing the rest of that, Chris, which will be great.
Yeah, so it's being edited right now, so I'm not entirely sure when it's being released, but I'm not editing it, so I'm really keen to see it myself as well.
Yeah, that must be a thing, isn't it? If you're not editing, you're like, oh, I really need to. And will that be, I mean, I'm assuming we'll get that on your YouTube channel at some point.
Yeah, I mean, OM System channel too, so I'm not quite sure what the publishing idea here is. I believe it's going to be on OM System's global channel exclusively.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah, we'll see.
How exciting.
It's great.
Well, maybe we've let that cat out of the bag. And next question. We have a question from Yuso. I know I've probably not pronounced that right. Chris, what do you think of the new IBIS and ND filter?
I mean, yeah, it's a slight improvement in the stabilization, which means, handheld long exposures are crazy good as they were before. Now, even better. I have a photo of Northern Lights, which was, I don't think, 5 seconds handheld, and it's crisp.
Wow, they're beautiful. I've seen them.
It's nuts. And the ND filter built in, obviously, I have had this question that it can't be used for video, right? It's a computational feature. It's not an actual ND that sits in front of the sensor. So it's not usable in video, but for long exposures. And now you can actually shoot handheld long exposures with the ND feature, so you can blur out any movement in your shot. So that works really well.
Incredible.
So yeah, I'm really impressed. Plus the ND has gone up to ND 64, I believe.
Yep,
32 or 64, yeah. So it's gone up one level.
So you're now getting an effective 6-stopper in basically a composite. So it composites images together to create an ND filter. But let me tell you, it works.
It does work.
It really, really works. And, ND filters are great. I've got the Lead 10 stoppers. They're fantastic and they're really good in certain environments. But, especially if you're doing 2, 3, 4 minute exposures. But when you're out and about and you think, I haven't bought anything, and then you come across a beautiful waterfall or whatever, you can just stop and take a shot, can't you? So I love that feature. We have got the Northern Lights image. I'm jealous, gonna say.
Beautiful.
It's stunning, absolutely stunning. Tell us about this image.
I mean, anyone who knows anything about Northern Lights knows they're not really strong in this image. So I really had to push the exposure, a long exposure, into being able to see them. They were actually fading already because we spent hours beforehand shooting video onto the Northern Lights and also pushing the new camera. And there might be some footage of Northern Lights with the camera, which is mind blowing. I haven't seen many cameras that are capable of shooting video in the dark while the Northern Lights are visible. It's pretty special. But yeah, it was just one of those nights where we had seen that the aurora forecast was looking good for the night, but if you're that far north, it's always a gamble with the weather, with the clouds. You can see there's a few clouds in the shot too. And we were having dinner and thinking, okay, well, let's go have a look. Maybe we'll see something. There's a few clouds in the sky, but maybe there's a gap somewhere, because it's looking great for Northern Lights. And we walk out of the restaurant where we had dinner. We walk out and thinking going straight to the car, walking over this bridge, and we just look up and the whole sky is just like on fire with Northern Lights. Yeah,
stunning.
And everyone just stood there and jaw dropped down to the ground and just like, oh wow, okay. So we didn't have to drive anywhere.
Just stay here, right here.
Yeah,
absolutely gorgeous.
And
that is lovely.
then panic mode begins. You run to the car, grab the cameras, and you're like, why did we waste so much time in the restaurant? It's always chasing.
I mean, it's always going to be the way, isn't it? If you're a sort of landscape photographer or an elements type photographer, you have to be out in the elements. It's always going to be a choice of the sort of blue hour,
it just changes
golden
so
hour.
quickly, doesn't it?
You've got to be go, ready to go at any point. And that's the other thing, is if you do have a bag packed. I mean, I remember asking an ambassador if you had one thing what if you had 30 seconds to pack? It was Gavin we asked, wasn't it? If you had 30 seconds to pack, what would you pack? And the joy about the kit is, of course, you could pack a load of stuff in one bag and go.
Just empty the shelf.
That's like,
open your bag, tip it all in.
But it's small and light and portable. That's the choice. Have we got some more images?
We have 2 more.
We have 2 more images. Let's have a look. I've not seen any of these, so I'm very excited. Let's have a look, Gavin.
Beautiful.
Oh, another lovely image.
Yeah, this was on also Lofoten Islands and towards the end of our trip, also a grey day, not very special light-wise, and we were driving along, and suddenly this mist or fog was rolling down over this stream that was going through the landscape, and it created like this perfect split. In here, it's not as strong, but if I got several other shots where it was, you get like layers of mist, fog, clouds,
I love it.
and
So atmospheric, isn't it?
and the temperature dropped. It was just freezing, and then it went to -12 as soon as we hit into the fog.
Wow.
And my crew was like, "Oh, we'll get some footage of you walking here. This will look great." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I want to take photos too." So we're like, "Okay."
And the detail on it is just it's just incredible.
It might be a handheld high-res shot too. I shoot it as soon as I can. I would shoot handheld high-res, simply because it's so fast nowadays. The faster processing power. It doesn't. I used to shoot handheld high-res and then just put the camera over my shoulder and just let it process and then check after. But now I don't have to put it over my shoulder. I can just let it do it and then continue and check it quickly. So it's a really different way of shooting handheld, the high-res mode.
And we all want things quicker, don't we? I mean, one of the reasons we put handheld on the top of the camera now is because it's gone from, so now you can access the high-res, Gav's going to do a close-up, you can now access the high-res from the top of the camera at the press of a button, and if you hold that button down and use either the front or back dial, you can switch between tripod mode and handheld mode, and it's gone from 12 seconds to 5 seconds processing time.
So quick.
Well, it's less than half the time, and let me tell you, when you compare things like high-res files to 35mm sensor shots, let me tell you, when down the middle, if you zoom into your image, they tend to be pretty sharp and very similar. Yeah. But when you go edge to edge, that's when you will see the massive difference between a 35mm sensor shot and a high-res shot. The sharpness edge to edge is so much better. So we really want you to get out and shoot those high-res shots this year when you get your bodies. Yeah.
Absolutely, and I think we have one more image, Gav.
Right.
Oh, I love this shot. This is so iconic, beautiful. So beautiful.
I need a holiday.
The kayak.
So this is what you'd call the postcard shot of the Foot Islands, the red cabins, the mountain.
You sold it to me, Chris. You sold it to me.
It's so iconic. I mean, if you Google the Foot Islands, this is the first thing you'll see a million times.
And that's your guide in the...
Correct. So we thought we'd do we put a twist on the iconic shot with him, because he was collecting samples in this area anyway. And I was like, okay, well, this is perfect. You'll kayak through, we'll time it, and we'll have the iconic shot, but it'll have a bit more meaning to it, as he is collecting microplastic samples that can be analyzed, and then they can be processed, and you can figure out in which areas more microplastics are coming into the ocean, and find solutions to prevent that from happening, and also see how microplastics travel in the ocean. So that's not actually being researched at the moment. So it's really new stuff that he's doing, and it was really such a privilege to be able to capture a photo like this. It's like this perfect landscape composition. I mean, it's not quite the perfect composition here, but with him kayaking on the left, I had to give him the space for it, and it's just
looks pretty amazing.
So cool to be able to shoot it.
I think it's pretty perfect. Right. I mean, I know you're probably going to pull it apart because it's your own shot, but
we all think
technically, I think it's pretty gorgeous.
And it's you see one of these shots and you think, wow, yes, it's the iconic shot, but your story behind it and what he's doing, it makes it and builds it. And I think that's what's so beautiful about your work is the story behind it as well.
Okay, we are running.
If you punch in on the kayak, you can actually see the device dragging.
His
behind
device.
Him.
Yeah,
so
that's what I saw. That it's like a little net ladder type thing.
Brilliant.
Right, okay, we've got a couple of more questions because we have run over a bit. We need to be mindful.
We're a bit rogue, it's
fine. We just it's not Coffee with the Clares, it's OM System, so just be mindful. That we can't just go on until whenever we want. Sanad Saad says, beautiful. What lens was this? I'm assuming the 7-14.
Yes, correct. 7-14 from the bridge up there.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, right.
Do we have any more questions?
I think any more questions? You've got another minute or so before we start winding up. I would say we've had a fantastic. It's been so lovely, Chris. Oh no, I've got another one. Bill Dennis, can you still program the red button to record video clips in stills mode?
I don't know. I've got the camera here. I can have a look.
Claire, you're the
I
most
have no card
technical
inserted
whiz.
right now, so I couldn't tell you.
Bill, I'll get back to you because I don't know that either. Can you
I think you can
record?
deactivate the handheld high-res mode button.
Yes. Oh, yeah,
then
you
it
can.
will transform
Deactivate
into
it.
Yeah.
won't
Whatever
say-
you could do before, you could still do. We haven't taken any functionality away. We've only added functionality. So if you could have done it before, then you'll still be able to do it now. It's just the red button has extra functionality.
Yeah.
So if that answers your question, I think that's probably the way forward. But the answer is if you could do it before, you can still do it. So there's no
Always hit
problem
us
there.
with a hard one at the end, don't they?
Yes, because I'm not a video. Whenever I watch
Gavin's
video, I'm
got-
like, why can't I shoot video like that? And then I'm like, I'm going to spend more time shooting video, and I never
And
shoot.
then you don't.
I know.
It's because like stills are
I don't need
embedded
to.
in
We've
us.
got Chris.
Yeah. Let's just look at Chris's beautiful videos.
I
Keep it
just
that
get,
way.
right, exactly. I just
Yeah.
get mesmerised by your guys'
Let's
videos,
just-
Gav's
we'll do
and yours,
stills.
and yes. So,
We'll look at his videos and it'll be all right.
so excuse me. Sorry, Claire.
You're right,
While I
I'll carry
cough,
on.
you do this.
Chris, thank you so much. Thank you for your time and for your
Thanks.
beautiful images and video. If you don't already follow Chris on Instagram, Gav's going to put his little Instagram at the bottom
And his
here.
YouTube, yeah.
And his YouTube
Legend,
and website. There's been a great in-depth review that you've done. So make sure you check Chris out. And we'll be seeing a lot more of you, we'll be seeing a lot more videos, and hopefully you'll join us again on Coffee with the Claires.
Yes,
That'd be
thanks,
lovely.
Chris.
Thanks for having me.
And we really look forward to seeing you again soon. Honestly, thank you for joining us. It's been brilliant.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's
See
been
you
a pleasure.
soon. Wonderful, thank you. So let's have a quick recap. So make
That was
sure.
incredible. It makes me
I
want to
love
go to
I
Norway,
just
to
want
Australia.
to see the Northern Lights. I want to go on a
bucket list.
kayak
Let's
through
do
the
bucket list.
Lofoten Islands. I
Yep,
just want
let's
to.
go to
Claire and
more.
I just want to travel. We haven't.
We just make a list. So it was
So
fantastic. It was great to see
Yes.
such different photographers in
Yes.
different environments using the same camera and making the most out of it.
but for different sort of genres, you
Yes.
know, for Michaela to shoot dusk and dawn and
Yeah.
get the better ISOs, and then for Chris to be able to shoot in 4K 60p and
Yeah.
in
That
240
video was
slow mo
incredible.
in full HD. You then start seeing the expansion of the
Yeah.
OM1
Absolutely.
and the usability and it's great for all jobs. You know, I
Yeah.
think that's the point. Whatever you're doing, this is definitely the tool and the camera for you.
Absolutely.
We've run over.
We had a lot of you saying that you've pre-ordered.
Oh,
we
yes.
we didn't actually get to tell you, but during the video, Sam told us how many of you actually told us that you've pre-ordered. Some of you have pre-ordered multiple body. There's loads. So we look forward to seeing what you shoot with it. Two
cameras.
People, 2 cameras. That's fantastic. We have got a jam-packed day for you from around the globe. So tune in. There's more coming up really soon. David's going to be doing an in-depth OM1 menu session at 1 o'clock. So be around for that. And like I said, we've got loads happening throughout
Yeah,
the day.
and if you want another English session, Michaela will be on tonight.
She will.
That's Michaela from our US colleague, so she'll be running another. Brooke Bartleson and
Peter Bongard.
Peter Baumgarten is going to be there as well. So amazing. If you don't follow either of those two, a lovely genre of landscape and wildlife as well.
Absolutely.
Keep your eyes on all of our channels. There is lots of stuff planned for the rest of the year, which we're not telling you about yet, but you must stay tuned because it's going to be very exciting. If you are out and about and you're going in the UK, coming to see our preview days, please check out where we're going to be, myself and David and Craig. If you want to come and see the camera in the flesh, that's really important.
Absolutely.
If you haven't made your mind up, maybe that's what you need to do. Come and see us, have a play with the camera, and that will help you make your mind up, I'm sure.
Be sold immediately.
From us, it's wonderful to be back, and I'm sure we'll see you again next month.
Yes, we will. Have
For
a
our-
great OM System Day.
Yes.
Enjoy the live sessions, and we'll see you very soon.
Take care.
Bye.